Hi, my name is Jennifer Gleisner, and I am Assistant Director at the Bepko Learning Center. I am joined by one of my student coordinators, Morel Pond, and we are going to share our experiences with an outreach campaign that we put together for the spring 2021 semester. A little about us. The Bepko Learning Center is on the IUPUI campus. This is an Indiana University, Purdue University campus located in downtown Indianapolis. Our campus has over 29,000 students, with 77% of those being full-time students. The Bepko Learning Center employs over 75 student leaders at our center as coaches, SI leaders, and tutors. We offer SI-like sessions for biology, business, SPIA, exercise science, and sociology courses. When we moved online in the spring 2020 semester, our leaders and the students they served began to feel disconnected from the campus and each other. That prompted us to ask, how can we maintain or increase SI session attendance and help students feel more connected to the campus in this virtual environment? I was moved by a note that one of our instructors received from a student who had been attending our human anatomy SI sessions. I was impressed that a simple email note from an SI leader to a student could make such an impact. How could we help our leaders make a difference without burdening them with additional work and at the same time help get students to their sessions? We developed an outreach plan that focused on 5 types of connection points.
Throughout the semester, our SI leaders sent out 5 different types of outreach. These included session invitations, attendance thank you notes, AJ chatbox nudges, student engagement roster outreaches, and mid-semester wellness check-ins. We will now look into each of these outreaches to display our methods and techniques. One of the first outreach campaigns we facilitated was inviting students that previously had trouble in science classes to attend our SI sessions. Specifically, the students that we targeted included those who were repeating the course, as well as students that had a cumulative GPA below a 2.5. Students who fell into either of these categories were put on an outreach list for their respective SI leader. The leaders could then send an individual email to each identified student on their list. The emails that our leaders sent to these students were very kind and welcoming. After all, we did not want the students to feel like they were being judged. In the email templates we crafted at the center, we made sure to never refer to the reason that the students were receiving the email. Rather, we made sure to frame the leader as a helpful resource that cared about the student's success in the class. The message also included what the student could gain by attending so that they could understand why it would be in their best interest to partake in sessions. Our second method of outreach was to send thank you emails to students who had attended sessions or exam reviews. Like the session invitations, these emails were addressed to each student individually. The thank you emails helped show the students that their leaders valued their attendance and genuinely enjoyed getting to see them in sessions. These emails also provided leaders the opportunity to remind students about their weekly sessions and tutoring hours. A PDF document that contains session times was also attached to each email with their respective Zoom links. The AJ Chatbox is a program that sends out nudge messages to students enrolled in particular courses. At IUPUI, this program has been piloted with the human anatomy sessions and has seen great success. The nudges that get sent out appear like a phone text and are received by students in anatomy 1 week before their exam. Each of these messages requested that the student respond with an emoji from a given list of options that describe their current feeling about the exam. The system would record which students responded along with their response. This made it easy to create an outreach list for SI leaders to contact students who were not feeling good about the exam. Despite the response chosen, our services would be promoted by the chatbot. However, it presented differently depending on what the student chose. For example, if someone was feeling bad about the test, it could prompt them to visit an SI session. On the other hand, if a student was feeling good about an upcoming exam, it could offer them to attend SI sessions as a study aid to supplement their individual studies. After the grades were put in for a class exam, course professors could leave comments about each student in the student engagement roster. These comments could be downloaded in our center, and those students who were not performing well on exams or quizzes could be targeted for outreach. Students identified by the professors could be put on a list for their respective SI leader, and then the leader could email the student to promote attending their sessions. The emails sent out for this kind of outreach were more pointed, while still being kind in nature. It was important that they understood that the professor saw the SI sessions as a resource that would help them succeed in the class. So the templates for these emails always prompted the student to respond to the SI leader with which sessions they could attend. The leader could then respond to the student and let them know that they would contact whichever leader's session the student could attend. This way, they knew to expect them. In college, midterms can be a very stressful time for students. With the isolation that comes with the pandemic, mental health of our students is something that is very important to check in on. To do this, we had our leaders individually email each of the students in their session to ask how they were doing and if they needed any help. The responses mentors received from these emails were mostly positive, and it was evident that the students appreciated someone making sure that they were doing okay. If a student was struggling, this also gave them the chance to talk with their leader in a more private setting.
I want to show you how we implemented and tracked our outreach. To make this process as simple as possible for our SI leaders, our student coordinators used the project management site Basecamp to assign the outreach tasks. Coordinators supplied the list of students to contact and an email template to use. Although we encouraged SI leaders to customize the email, this was not required. We added a due date to the task and asked that the coordinator be notified when it was complete. To easily track our outreach, the student coordinator developed a simple spreadsheet that indicated what type of communication was sent and the week it was distributed. Next, let's take a look at the results. I'd like to show you how outreach impacted one of our SI courses, Human Physiology. This graph compares attendance at voluntary SI sessions during the last 3 spring semesters. Each of these semesters hosted 6 SI sessions per week. We conducted no additional outreach during the spring 2019 and spring 2020 semesters. Marketing for sessions in spring 2019 and 2020 consisted of lecture announcements by the SI leaders and the instructor, some text messages in spring 2019, and postings on the course Canvas site. In the spring semester of 2021, we implemented 3 of the 5 types of outreach, in addition to lecture announcements and Canvas site posts. We sent invitations to students repeating the course and those below a certain GPA. We sent thank you emails to students attending early sessions and exam reviews. And we sent wellness check-ins. As you can see, as a percentage of the class, our attendance at SI sessions increased during the spring 2021 semester. We believe the outreach was a contributor to this trend. When we compared courses in which we engaged in outreach versus those which we did not, we see differences in the amount of attendance. The course Biology N261, Human Anatomy, engaged in all 5 types of outreach, whereas the course Business X100, Introduction to Business Administration, only engaged in thank you emails for those attending exam reviews. There are other differences, of course, between the student populations that contribute to various attendance levels, but we feel that our outreach efforts impacted session attendance. Moving forward, we intend to continue our outreach efforts into the fall 2021 semester. The wellness check-ins were very popular and student leaders received responses from many students. Invitations and thank yous appeared to be effective. Leaders noticed specific students attending based on these forms of communication. The student engagement roster continues to be an excellent means of targeting specific students who might need support. Although the AJ chatbot was initially quite successful at engaging students, a number of campus organizations began using this method to communicate with students. As the semester went on, we saw engagement fall, and this may be due to the volume of nudges students began to receive. For the fall 2021 semester, we would like to experiment with our SI leaders managing a set roster of students enrolled in the course. In this scenario, students would hear from the same SI leader multiple times throughout the semester, the hope being that they'd feel more connected to a specific SI leader and might therefore be more likely to attend a session. Thank you for listening, and I'd like to offer appreciation to our student coordinators, Morel Pond, who was the student leader for our outreach project this semester, and Rhiannon Clayton for putting together our video presentation. Our contact info is on the last slide. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Thank you.